The drama itself, it's called Kimchi Family. In Korean, it's 발효가족, and the direct translation of that would be fermentation family. And I think Kimchi Family works a lot better than fermentation family. It's these two sisters who end up managing their family restaurant when their father sort of leaves unexpectedly. And then there's a gangster who comes to work for this restaurant. So it's about those characters, and then the restaurant's other employees and customers and other friends that they develop over time. For this particular episode that feature Gardenia Kimchi is episode 4. The first record in Korea is from the Three Kingdoms period, from like 50 AD to 668. Can you tell I studied up on it? So that's when you first see the record of kimchi in Korea. And what we think of as kimchi, right, the red napa cabbage one, is actually a pretty recent one because pepper was introduced to Korea in 1600s. And then the cabbage, as we know, started growing widely in 1800s. So it hasn't been too long. Whereas, when you think of like soaked in salt brine water or just sprinkled over in salt, that comes from a long time ago, much longer than the history of the Napa cabbage kimchi. And at that time, people are guessing it was mostly radish and a lot of water based, and that's actually what we are going to make today. Depending on who you ask, there are 100 to 200 different types of kimchi. There's actually a kimchi museum in Seoul. So if you ever visit Seoul, go check it out. And when you have over 100 types of kimchi, basically you can guess that, all the vegetables you can think of, you make kimchi out of it. People use fruits to make kimchi. It could be, depending on the region, they use a lot of things that they have on hand, right? So if you go to the coastal area, they'll actually put in some actually whole fish to kimchi to flavor the kimchi. A little bit of disclaimer on my part is I watched the drama myself and then developed a recipe from that. So I haven't tasted the actual Gardenia kimchi over there, but I hope it comes close enough that you can actually enjoy. With any kimchi, salting is the first one. You draw out the natural juice of the vegetables. When you salt them, it extracts the juice out of it. So what it does is it seasons a little bit, but at the same time, it gets the vegetable crunchier for a longer period of time. So that's the starting point. What you're trying to do is basically like to keep it a little consistent in shape. So when you look for radish, I want to be able to see like a sheet of it, right? So you want to trim off like the little bit on the side and use the most of the surface here. And it helps to find something that comes close to the surface of the radish. When you make kimchi, you always want to use coarse sea salt because it's not the point of using table salt and get it really salty, right? Coarse sea salt will stay, just kind of touch the surface of vegetables to get it salty and get it to sweat, and then you can wash off the salt. The next thing you want to do is have the base for the broth ready, right? It's water kimchi. The kimchi broth actually tastes very tangy and sweet. I mean, of course, it's salty, but there's more to that saltiness. There's like, nice flavor coming from all around. And this is that base. It's onion, scallion, garlic, ginger. And if you want the subtle spiciness, although it doesn't look spicy, you can put in some peppers, red peppers. You can use jalapeno peppers or red Fresno peppers. It looks nice. And then you also add in half of apple. And in baking, you use a lot of like sour apples, right? For here, the main purpose is to get the nice natural sweetness. So I like Fuji apples or Gala apples. There's nothing like Asian pear to get it really cooling, sweet, crisp taste to it. A couple of red bell pepper, and then a couple of yellow, and then roll it. And don't try to like really make it tight. Other it's gonna break. So then you can cut off. The end. So that's the roll. The yellow one, the Gardenia one with seaweed inside, as you saw on the drama. And with the seaweed, there's like a little bit of slippery taste to it. Just letting you know. And you'll get a taste of it a little later. And it's, again, this was like a kind of creation by a kimchi company. And I think it makes sense. It's actually surprisingly good. But for some people, it's just, like seaweed doesn't belong in kimchi. So here's another way of making sort of, it could be just a vegetable rolls, right? The pink color comes from red beet. Do the same thing, but instead of gardenia, you'll use red beet, right? And then the red one doesn't have seaweed. So just so you know when you're tasting it later. And I added a couple of pepper slices. So it's slightly spicy. When you season rice, you should season it right away when it first comes off the heat. That way, the rice really absorbs the flavor, and you'll be able to taste a lot of it later. If you try to flavor it later, like once it gets cold, it doesn't really come together. It just doesn't happen. From here, what I'm going to do is use all the trimmings that are finely chopped and saute just to get rid of some water. There's a lot of sort of like vegetable juice that came out of it when you cut. So I'm going to add that. And then also the chive for the color. To get the yellow color, you can also use turmeric. That's very easy to find, and I'm just going to show you. So as soon as it hits water, it turns yellow. When you hold it together, kind of press it gently so it keeps together. If you just want to make, just round shape, it kind of falls apart. So make sure you squeeze a little bit before you try to form it as a ball. Okay. What you have on your table is this dried seaweed. So you can put it in there and then kind of roll it around. Makgeolli is only about 6% alcohol, similar to beer. And we're adding frozen pineapple chunks. So this is makgeolli. So you can get this in Korean grocery stores, not in Manhattan, but Korean grocery stores. And then you mix it with frozen fruit chunks, and it becomes, without using ice, it becomes flavored, kind of fruity slush with a little bit of happiness.